Welcome. You're listening to the Rutten River Pursuits podcast. Join our epic pro staff around the Sonic campfire for stories and adventures from our eastern mountains to the Chesapeake Salt. Let our highs and lows inspire you to take to the outdoors.
All right, guys, welcome. You're listening to another episode of the Rutten River Pursuits podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Will.
It's Uncle Buck.
I'm Catfish.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Groot.
Hey, Groot.
Hi, Groot.
Mini Groot.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm Groot.
Groot's been showing up a couple times here now, hasn't he?
I like Groot.
I'm Groot.
I like Big Groot better than Little Groot.
Yeah.
What's new, guys?
I have yet to figure out how to fish this one lake by my house. Makes me feel like I'm less of a man.
There's bass in this lake.
There's got to be bass in this lake.
Yeah.
What have you tried?
I've tried numerous soft plastics, numerous crankbaits, different topwater.
What's in it that you've seen so far? Bullfrogs, minnows. What have you seen?
I've seen frogs. I've seen
Fire.
sunny,
I've seen rain.
sunfish. I've seen
Sunny
perch.
days that
I've seen Groot.
Yeah, I've seen Groot.
Is there any aquatic? Is there any plant life in the water?
Oh, absolutely. There's down logs, and I mean,
Have you tried a topwater frog?
grass. I have not tried the frog yet.
The mini
Yeah.
frogs.
Have you
Try
tried
that.
a 5-inch green pumpkin Senko?
Yes,
And nothing.
nothing.
It's truly a
No,
magical lake.
Maybe there is nothing there.
That's what I'm thinking. But at the same time, there's perch and there's sunnies there, and I'm like,
Have you tried night crawlers?
actually, I have not.
There you go.
There's a lunker in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I told Stevie this the other day, like, I hear you guys with your badonkadonks and and your scuttlebutts and
Your
Whopper
flopper floppers,
Scuttlebutts.
your woozy doos and witchy
Nips and
days.
daisies.
nips or dazers,
Your cattywampus
with or without the scooter stick.
And they all work.
or a tail midge.
But I don't know anything that works better than a night crawler, and that's free from the ground.
From the ground. That's a valid point. I might have to go over there with some strike indicators and some night crawlers and see what's going on.
Give it a whirl.
It's not crazy. What getting back to our roots is when Dad and Uncle Wellesley were down for the weekend. Absolutely went over to the point and we threw night crawlers off the point and we slammed perch.
Did you?
Just because Uncle Wellesley's the same way. He's diehard. I got him to fish with Kitex. He caught that walleye and he was having fun learning how to catch perch with them and catch crappies with them. But a dozen times at least he went, hey, can I have my night crawlers there? I'm like, yeah, buddy. Put them on that jig head. Right on this with not a hook with a split shot. No, that is a hook with a split shot built into it. Put it right on there. And then, sure enough, perch. You're right. The good old-fashioned night crawlers, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Especially if you just want to get back to your roots. Getting back to your roots is just throwing a night crawler out with a bobber on it. Like the old round clip-on bobber.
The red and white ones.
You're fishing like a kid now, and you know what? It can be just as fun.
Hey, you don't have to sell it so short. We call them strike indicators where I'm from. Makes it sound a little bit more professional.
Church it up a little bit.
You know, Kyle, I use a slip bobber.
Don't try to
I
church
use
it
a
up,
slip bobber now just to feel a little bit fancier and more
exactly.
adult with my fishing than just a red and white bobber.
Hey,
Don't you mean dirt day?
They're trying to church it up, buddy. It's just dirt.
But you guys,
Earthworms, night crawlers.
I
Whatever.
love how the fact that we try to cover up the younger ways we learn how to fish, but isn't that a testimony to it's still fun?
oh, absolutely.
I don't care if
and we run back to it.
Now, if you're having trouble and you're tossing everything in your bag, go to a night crawler. You'll find something.
something will bite it. Yeah.
I don't know
Absolutely.
anybody that started out, 3-4 years old throwing a whopper plopper or a spinner
Wayne Campbell.
Other than Wayne Campbell.
Ryan's daughter.
Ryan's daughter. Other than those two people.
I started throwing jerk baits with a bait caster when I was 3. No.
And Phil. Other than
Phil.
those three people.
So I can totally,
cast.
I'm 46 and I can't even throw a bait caster.
totally,
Bobby Urich.
totally picture Wayne Campbell as a child catching like a sunfish, and like somebody says, "Oh, here, buddy, let me get that off." Or no, he just keeps throwing it back out and throwing it back in my bait.
Yeah.
And swim baits were born.
It's not big enough.
So one other thing new if anybody has followed us on Instagram or Facebook, not so much me maybe, but pictures.
Oh, come on, bud.
At
You take a look.
Steve Miser.
Yeah.
All one word.
All one word.
I can't keep up.
Meiser.
Yeah.
He's a picture
what was I
animal.
talking about? Oh, yeah.
Something new?
Something new. You guys threw me all off course there. We've been wearing some new R2 apparel.
Where'd you get those?
It's a secret, but we're very soon going to start offering some of that to the listeners. So keep an eye out. We have limited availability on some hats coming down the pike here soon. So keep an eye out for us.
Direct message us. Any one of us will be available to help you get some apparel, whatever you need, like whatever we're putting out at the time. Just get a hold of one of us so that
We'll hook you up.
We've had a lot of requests lately for
Yeah.
hats and stuff, so we want to make you guys happy. We'll get you what you need.
And if we don't get you this time, we'll get you the next time and the next time after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're playing around with it. I know we like having the clothes around and the apparel. So
Cool.
It's not really that much of a secret. Stevie has a bunch of Keebler Elf friends that make the crap in a tree, and
Yeah.
you said it was a secret.
Yeah, you've been hoarding out on that.
I don't know where to get them. They're always in a box, and Will's
They just magically show up.
They do.
Will goes to bed, and next morning there's a box full of...
Hey, Catfish, look, there's new hats. Yes. I want one of those.
It's like the elves come into his shop overnight.
I wish it's not that simple, and we're definitely if you know anybody that does a great job with apparel and likes to work with a brand that is looking to grow, also hit us up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
New stuff. So the trip to Florida coming up.
Yeah.
Lacey bought me a. Have you seen the pictures of the guys on Facebook that have the face shields? They're like almost like the performance wear.
Yeah.
They're like silky, and they're to keep the sun off of you. Wear them around your neck or whatever. She got me one that has this great big clown smile.
Oh, you're
so
gonna
you can
freak
see
Will
your
out.
eyes, but it's just this giant clown smile. And it's funny because she was asking me,
Will's
"Do you
canceling
like
his
any of
plans
those?"
right now for Florida.
This was months ago. We were on working at the hospital. She's like, "Do you like any of those?" When I was looking at them, I like the clown smiling because I knew that you would hate it. So yeah, that's the one she bought me. So I'll be wearing that in Florida to cover my face from the death rays of the sun.
There's nothing wrong with your beard. Doing the same thing.
It'll
This is
burn.
true.
I got to cover my nose right there.
Yeah.
So the whole thing's just
your
like
eyes.
1 inch of fabric that's going to help me. The rest of it's nothing.
It's going to be good.
My
You'll
face-
be good.
You'll look good in that.
Yeah, face armor. The face armor beard helps with the sun, but my nose and back of my ears always get burnt. And so I'm excited to go saltwater fishing in Florida.
Yes. Speaking of saltwater fishing, all right, guys, we are fortunate to have Joe and Luke Simons from the Salt Strong Company with us tonight, all the way down in Tampa, Florida. How you guys doing?
What's up, guys?
Hey guys,
Hey, guys.
We're here. We're doing it.
Yeah. This is a long time coming. We started talking 2 months ago or something like that. Got pushed back a couple times because of my terrible planning.
In all fairness, I think you pushed me off. We were excited
know.
sitting here we had
know.
to postpone on you. Some came up, so
I feel
hard to get.
I feel terrible. I really do. But
I'm glad we're finally doing it, man.
me too.
Good to with you.
Me too. Yeah, I've been following you guys for a long time. So, where are you guys from?
Tampa. Well, I was born in Tampa, somewhere nearby, Winter Haven.
Yep, yeah, I was born in Winter Haven, which is only like an hour drive away, and that's where we grew up and everything. And we've been here. I've been here for 4 years or so, and you've been here for 2-ish.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so I came back to the roots, and I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, with my wife after moving from Texas and all over the place, and we sold our company in the financial services industry and kind of just burnt out. And I guess the nicest way to say it is we didn't really love what we were doing, we didn't hate it, but we just didn't love it. Didn't see ourselves doing it forever. And our whole lives, we talked about having some type of fishing company. We didn't know what it was going to be. We didn't know what the heck we were going to sell. We still confused some days.
Even when we started, we didn't really know. We just knew we wanted to do it, and we did it. Like,
Yeah.
It was literally like the people asked, "What was your business plan?" And I'm like embarrassed to say we like really didn't even have one. Like, yeah, we'll sell some shirts or something.
Yeah,
you know?
we teach fishing. So yeah, it's it all kind of kicked off 3 years ago in Tampa, and it's been a heck of a ride.
It's a fun ride.
So, how long have you guys been fishing then? All your life, or is this a new hobby?
Yeah, I mean, really as long as I can remember. Kind of grew up in Central Florida. There's lakes everywhere. Like Winter Haven has like 30 lakes that are connected. There's a big chain where you can kind of get around the whole city by lake. It's pretty cool. But so growing up, we'd go like catch worms in the backyard and then go catch brim and little small bass and stuff down at the bridge, and just all kind of got hooked at an early age. I like my earliest memories were down there at that bridge.
Yeah, I mean, we have pictures of me at least swimming and fishing all before I was 2 years old, so I know it was happening then from proof. But yeah, that's all we did. I mean, that was kind of our life growing up on a little lake was fishing, and we both got into bass fishing. This guy was like, I thought he was crazy. Like all of a sudden you're a teenager, you start getting in girls and sports, and I wanted to sleep in the morning. High school started at 7:05. I just wanted to sleep in as late as I could to make it on time. And this dude here was getting up, and I'm pointing to Luke. I know a podcast you can't see it, but I'm pointing to my brother Luke. And he was getting up at 5 in the morning on purpose to go bass fishing pretty much every single morning before high school.
Well, it was good luck to go to school with the bass thumb, or that the bass when you lip them and they rip your thumb up. If you don't go to school without that, that's a problem. That's a problem. So yeah, I just always loved fishing, and then kind of learned the saltwater stuff, and I've been probably even more addicted to that. But I like it all, really. Any inshore, offshore, lakes, rivers, I like it all.
Yeah.
And you guys are at an advantage, too, where you can pretty much fish, year-round, where, us PA boys, we pretty much have a good maybe half the year where we can get all our fishing in, where you guys can pretty much fish year-round.
Yeah, there's pros and cons everywhere. That's we are spoiled. We're definitely spoiled here in Florida. But I don't know, one of my, I lived up in Rochester, New York for a winter for like when I was in the corporate world. They put me up there, and
bless your heart.
September to February. And but I met a guy who was into ice fishing, and he took me out there, and it was awesome. Like it was a really, really cool experience, but something that I never thought I'd ever do, and it was a blast.
What'd you catch?
We caught we caught some good pike. Like one was like 34 inches, and out of a little hole, it's nuts. You like hand line them out of there. Kind of really sit around the ice with a bunch of holes and wait till a little flag to pop up, and you go run, and whoever gets to it first gets it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we I've done some ice fishing, and we use smaller rods, light tackle, and besides the pop ups as well. And I tell you what, catching one of those big fish out of a small hole with that light tackle, just bending that 18-inch rod in half.
Yeah. It's just catching them is cool, but like even getting them out of the ice is like a feat in itself. You have to wait till like the perfect angle and then just like rip them up. It was an awesome time.
How thick was the ice that you had to get them out of? Because we're probably not used to that thick of ice down here.
I think the minimum they said the first time I went, it was actually cracking. Like I was terrified. It was like literally when we were walking back, the sun was shining and literally the ice was cracking. I think it was like 8 inches. Right. And then the second time I went, it was a little bit further into, and we were actually on a 4-wheeler. Like we had like 4 people on a 4-wheeler going down like 2 miles out on this lake. I was terrified. I think it was like maybe 12 inches in, but it was crazy.
Yeah, here in Pennsylvania, we have like a 4 or 5 inch roll. We don't go out if it's less than that. And even at that, Kyle and Sammy, the general here, and Will and myself, the 4 of us don't stand around one hole. You kind of separate a little bit. I'm not, Stevie and Phil, they could go out on 2 inches ice.
We jump up and down on 2 inches ice.
They're so little, we stick them through the hole to look for the fish.
You guys are nuts.
Human fish
finder. Get on a tent, they stay out there for like multiple days. I don't know. These guys are nuts.
Wow.
just out there for a half day was enough for me.
But they probably think we're nuts. Like, we used to take some of our Georgia friends down to Florida, and we were going bass fishing with them, and we'd go jump. And keep in mind, these were not small, big gators. These were kind of small, like, 2 to 3 feet little gators. But there'd be a little gator out there, and we'd run off the dock and do a cannonball next to the gator, and these guys thought we were the craziest people ever. Like, this is Now, if it was a 10-footer, I would not be doing that, but it's just all where you grew up,
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd walk on 3 inches of ice before I'd cannonball next to a gator, that's for sure.
Now, let me switch gears real quick because we're talking about ice. I have a personal inquiry because we're coming down to Florida in August. And so you take all that heavy gear off from the cold and the bitter wind. What is August going to be like sun-wise? What do I have to wear to fish?
It's very mild
in Florida.
It's
because all the pictures I see online of guys with peacock bass
don't worry
have
about
like
it.
face guards on and headgear down, long sleeve shirts with gloves on.
You're going to be in South Florida in August.
That's probably the hottest month.
It's going to be hot.
No, don't tell them that. Come on.
It'll be good. It'll be really good.
You'll be fine.
Thank you for being honest, guys.
Black sweatpants.
We're going to send you a big neck gator.
Catfish thinks his face is going to melt off like those dudes in
It's going to be so hot. I'm going to be the one doing cannonballs beside the alligators because it's so hot.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be hot.
You blew it.
Cat's out of the bag now.
So I'm going to get in a truck for 26 hours with these guys to go down to get out into an oven.
Lobster.
But it is very good fishing time.
Yeah, it's good fishing.
So,
if you can put up with the heat and the mosquitoes, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. Mosquitoes don't bother me. It's the heat. I'm not a heat person. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Peacock bass is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've still never caught one. That is a cool looking fish. I wish we had them up here. We're probably like a 3 or 4 hour drive for them.
We need to do it. Yeah.
I just watched a video of some dude down in South Florida catching a peacock bass out of the sewer.
I saw that. Yeah, like the drainage, like this, and by the street.
Was that Monster Mike?
That was Monster Mike.
Was that Monster Mike?
Awesome.
Well, it's all like channel water that's all runoff water that goes into their water systems. Yeah, it backs up in there.
Wow.
That guy's got him dialed in, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. And he caught a largemouth, like a good sized largemouth too. I saw it. It was crazy.
Did we cover? I kind of went blank. Did we cover exactly where you guys are in Florida yet?
Tampa.
Okay, Tampa. I'm sorry.
It's over on the Gulf Coast. Yeah, the big old Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm. Now,
right in the city.
Now, Joe and Luke, you mind telling us kind of what you guys do at Salt Strong? A little brief background of kind of how you originally got started and where you've expanded to.
I'll try to give you the 30,000 foot view here.
Yeah, we definitely didn't really have much of a plan, which meant that we pivoted every month. It seems like for the first 6 months at least.
So the only thing that's been constant is our little headline, and it's kind of morphed a little bit, but it was teaching the world how to fish. And personally, I've got 3 young kids, and I saw a problem with my oldest daughter at the time was, I guess she was at 2 or 3 when we were still living in Georgia. And I kept noticing, if 3 years old, and then I guess she was in that 3 to 4 actually, and I was like, you know what, there's really obese kids. And all these kids they were literally, a lot of them were sitting there playing on iPads and phones at 3 and 4 years old. And now obviously it's gotten a whole lot worse. It's like, man, there's a problem out there. And I was like, these kids are being raised so different than I'm sure like you guys and like we were, where if it wasn't raining, then our butts were outside, digging up worms and catching fish and doing fun things outside. And so that was kind of a big mission, was teaching the world how to fish and really getting a lot of kids out there involved and getting a lot of parents. I have a lot of good buddies who are divorced, divorced dads, and they grew up fishing a little bit, but it's been 15 years because they've been in the business world, and now they want to learn how to. You go into Bass Pro, you don't even know where to begin. So we're like, let's just try to simplify for people and teach the world how to fish. So to answer your question, that was the goal. But then my wife and Luke were like, well, how the heck are we going to make money doing this? The YouTube videos are great, and the blog was great. We were getting a lot of good traffic, and we weren't making squat for money. Minus a little bit of YouTube ad revenue. And people like that's the no bananas, but people like the logo, and so people are like, well, hey, can I buy a shirt? Want to support you guys? And we made a couple rounds of shirts and sold like $5,000 worth. Well, that's kind of cool. And then it kind of just kept growing, and now it's actually, I guess it's profitable finally this year. The first time we're like truly profitable. We're actually paying ourselves, but yeah, it was a brutal 2 years, but. The one thing that did stay constant was just teaching the world how to fish, and it's certainly morphed, and we've certainly dialed it in terms of really focusing on inshore fishing, which is what we're passionate about, what we spent the most time doing ourselves. Because you can get so distracted when all of a sudden someone says, well, hey, do a course on peacock bass fishing or offshore fishing or kingfish or sailfish, and like we kind of went that route. We're like, man, we're not experts at that, and like. We will lose our focus if we go that route. So that's down the road. But for now, we're really focused on inshore fishing, from Texas up to North Carolina. Yeah. And a little PA, because we like you guys since you buy so much of our gear for some reason. So.
We like your no bananas hat.
Absolutely. So
that's been a popular. We have a shirt, too, with it, and that's been a real popular seller.
That's very fun.
Do you know where that originated, the no bananas?
Oh, tell them. We have an article.
We have a blog. I think if you Google, why are bananas bad luck on boats or why are bananas bad luck fishing, I think we're still number one on Google.
We get a lot of traffic from that.
Actually, you know what? Me and Sam just fished with Captain Joe, our new friend, and he went on for a half an hour on the history on that.
No kidding.
About
why was that?
I don't know. I have no clue. I was fishing, but he did go on for like a half an hour on that whole thing, and it was actually an interesting story. There's a big backstory to that.
What did there was like? I've heard 5 different things. What was the one that he said? Do you remember?
Like I just said, I was not paying attention.
You were fishing.
I was fishing, kind of just looking at him and smiling.
just like Luke was doing while you asked me the same question he already said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So now that it was like 5 things, and I don't remember all of them, but they were all like, way back in the day when they used to take bananas over on these old wooden ships from Africa. And one was like spiders were all on these bananas, and these sailors were getting bitten up, and some of even killed by all these spiders on the way back. So they associated bananas with bad luck. Number 2, because bananas would go bad. These boats
they spoil and they give off some sort of chemical that actually spoils other fruits.
Oh, that's good. That's number 3. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's right. If you've ever had bananas,
I thought it was the same one.
If you've ever had bananas around other fruits in your house, you see the other ones actually spoil quicker. But the other one was because banana boats had to go so much faster than something else that wasn't going to spoil. All the guys actually like to fish. They like to kind of take their time and make some stops and go fishing. But they never got to actually wet their lines because they were flying so fast. They always just associated bananas being bad luck. The last one was when you ever came across a wreck, if one of those banana boats ever got sunk, shipwrecked, whatever had happened, they would come up across the debris, and guess what was floating? You'd see some wood, and you'd see bananas. So they always associate bananas with being bad luck. So there you go.
There we go.
There's 5. But
2 minutes or less.
Yeah, someone cue up the Harry Chapin song. The 99,000 pounds of bananas.
Yeah. No bananas on a boat. Even we didn't catch any fish with Captain Joe for the first hour, and he was a good captain. So he's like, I don't know why we're not catching fish. We were catching fish yesterday within the first hour. And his first thing he said around the boat, he's like, who brought bananas on my boat? And he's like, all but looking through people's lunchboxes.
Oh man,
you can explain to him now why.
Yeah.
So teaching the world to fish, that's a pretty big endeavor there. How do you peel that onion?
One angler at a time.
Yeah. One fishing tip at a time, basically. And really, our background was kind of online marketing, and so we knew how to get traffic, and so we just started thinking, okay, what kind of customers do we want? What are their needs? And then just started doing tips that would address their needs. It really started with knots.
Yeah,
like even some simple just how to tie knot videos, and I started doing knot contests where testing out different knots, and I was learning a lot too. Like I'd never actually tested a knot before. And in my first test, I was doing a braid to leader test, and I found a new knot that I never even heard of, and it was 30% stronger than the knot that I was using. So I was like, well, man, that's amazing. And it's called the FG knot. So that was one of my first videos that I ever did, face-to-camera thing. And so I was kind of nervous, and Joe was filming it, and I was like, man, I got this cool night. I was like, we need to do a video on it. And so we filmed it, and I think you were like...
I was filming it in my basement in Georgia at the time.
It was a rainy day, so we had nothing to do.
A bush light in one hand and the camera in the other, thinking that no one's ever going to see this video. He couldn't screw it up. He said right instead of left instead of right hand.
Yeah. And I was editing it. I did it perfect. So I knocked it out of the park. I was like so pumped. And Joe forgot to turn the record button off. So I was mad. Like on the second round, I was already mad. And I was like, okay, it's good enough. Let's just publish it. And that thing, I looked at it the other day. It's like 1.2 million views.
Wow.
That one knot video is mind-boggling.
That's not an easy knot to tie either.
Sorry?
That's not an easy knot to tie either. To be, to make your first video, using that. That's pretty good.
We're coming out with our first video very soon. It's kind of the same. It's on how to keep your kayak upright. Unfortunately, the camera, there's going to be a section in there that's complete with the underwater view of Will still in the seat upside down on how to flip it back up.
Yeah. Shots fired.
Yeah, Will, tell them about the video you sent to me earlier this week.
Yeah, so that just happened.
The bear here.
Yeah, they definitely are. So we just got a couple feel-free lures. We're setting them up for catfishing. We're kind of experimenting because there's not a lot of guys doing what we're doing now. Yeah, and we're kind of like we got some big plans for it, but we're just, like I said, we're in this experimental phase, and catfish not so much, but my kayak was, for me and my weight and the way we had it set up, I got a little top heavy, and it was the slowest, most graceful, anticlimactic turnover that I've ever experienced. I just couldn't do anything about it, and I just went. And
I threw banana peels on it under the seat.
So no bananas on my kayak. That being said, we lost a couple cell phones and things like that. But I did come across your how to roll over a kayak video. I'm sorry, forgive me. I can't remember which one of you guys actually did it.
That was me again. Yeah, he was filming it, and
we flipped the coin.
It was cold too. It was like in November. It was really cold that day. I was not happy to be the guinea pig, but it was fun. Worth it.
So I sent it to Stevie. I sent him the link, and I was like, "Where were these guys like 2 weeks ago?"
Yeah, they're heavy kayaks. They weren't exactly easy to get back upright in the water. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough, especially in deep water. It's real tough. Or moving water. Yeah.
It's way more difficult than I ever thought. Like I never flipped over before, like in deep water. I'm fishing shallow stuff, so I can actually touch. But it was way more difficult than I thought. But that little cooler made a huge difference. Yeah, it was shocking how easy it was with that.
Wow. Well, and you were saying earlier, going to school, you had to go to school with the ripped up sandpaper bass thumb. You know, and back here, the badge of honor is to have all four of your knuckles destroyed by a 30, 40 pound flathead catfish.
Big flatty.
When you're dragging them up on the yak. If you go to school the next day and all four of your knuckles look like you punched the concrete, then everybody knew you were out fishing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was the badge of honor for school. Look what I caught this weekend.
Awesome. So the heart of Salt Strong is your clothing company. It sounds right.
Yes and no. I mean,
as far as our heart is really the teaching. I would say is that's really what we spend most of our time on. By far is the teaching side.
Yeah, and we're pretty transparent on what we do. I mean, we lead with teaching because that is our mission. We want to teach the world how to fish and create some cool experiences for people. And we hope they like it enough that we suck them in either through a YouTube video or a blog post or whatever it is to buy the gear.
Sure.
And it's been tough. I mean, it did take a long time, and it's being consistent, just like you guys know with podcasts. Your first one, maybe a few friends and family. You guys got at least 8 people, so maybe a little bit more listen to it. But it just takes time being consistent and getting better over time. So, and we do make some money on the teaching side as well. We have a private, I guess it's really a community. We call it a family, but the insiders, and that started with people asking really to see Luke. He is by far the better fisherman, if you guys already did not know. probably because he's single and doesn't have 3 kids and a wife like I do.
That helps.
That's a bad excuse, Joe.
That's the excuse I use with Stevie.
See his spots. I mean, he was just catching so many fish and just so many consistent fish. Like, well, hey, can we kind of see your spots and get an over-the-shoulder view? And so he just started taking GoPros out and filming it, and people were paying for it. And it's turned into something really cool now where he's got spots all over the state of Florida, and not just spots, but the trends. So you get to see, what's hitting where and every certain spot and what they're hitting on all throughout Florida. So it's been pretty cool. It's some awesome freaking data too.
Because also, and we started with courses. I have some really structured courses, like for somebody who wants to catch a redfish, for instance. I put together a course where it's just like everything you could possibly need to know to go out and catch a redfish. You could know nothing. You could teach you how to use the online maps to find spots, teach you all the knots, say what kind of rods you should get, what reels are the most value, and then and obviously what lures to use, exactly how to use them. But and then from that, I would invite people to this insider, if they lived in Tampa, because that's where all the spots were that I was showing. But somehow some people got links to it, and so we had some people in Texas coming into it. We had Alabama, and they were reporting that those same trends that I was seeing in Tampa were working over there for them. And so it was really cool to see, to really learn that, that these fish, like redfish, snook, trout, and probably all of them really, their biology is the same. So they react to changing weather patterns the same regardless where they are. So this insider little kind of club has really kind of expanded Florida and has gone to up the Gulf and up the Atlantic too.
And we give them these cool cleat cups. You can see we got a little.
They are pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Podcasters can't see it, but
so that's fairly unique what you guys are doing there. Giving up spots. I mean, do you ever get hate mail from people about sharing good fishing? I know up here you read fishing reports online. Guys will post pictures and blur out everything except
the fish.
Them holding the fish. There's no background, no nothing. So I think that's pretty awesome that you guys are sharing that kind of information.
Yeah, well, I mean, most people are just protective over the spots. I personally, I don't know, I get a bigger joy out of going to a whole new area that I've never been to before and catching fish there, and I just kind of like the search of it. So once I actually find a spot, I don't really mind giving it away, because to me, that's less valuable now that I've been there. I want to go find the next one. So I'm personally more than happy to do it, and at least so far, nobody's we do keep those all private. So those are our paid customers.
Sure.
So far, none of them have complained, but eventually some might. But I mean, there's now so many spots in there where even if a couple of theirs are listed, they're going to get more than what is than what they had. So
yeah, it's funny you say that. We actually had a gentleman on discussing fishing from Ocean City, and he basically said inshore. He's inshore you can try and hide a little bit, but people are eventually going to find you. He's like, it's the offshore guys that are super secretive that they'll hurt you if they catch you trying to snoop on one of their spots.
They're the guys that lied to you.
Yeah.
You ask them where they're at, where they're catching.
Exactly.
And there's obviously big money if you're in if you're doing tournaments offshore. I mean, there's real big money in that stuff, especially Ocean City, Maryland.
Yep. It's hard to hide offshore spots now. I mean, with that technology, people have radars that are connected to their depth finders, which are connected to their GPS, where the boat will pick up on a radar and they can click a button and bam, they've got the GPS. So it's just like everything, a lot more people inshore fishing, a lot more people offshore fishing, and if you have one or two spots, it can only last so long. It's all about finding the next one and getting better at finding new areas.
Absolutely.
So on the website, if I log on to saltstrong.com, what's the layout like? What could I expect to find there?
We had a video for a while that we ended up taking down. It was just kind of awkward. It was this old hobo on a park bench.
Yeah.
He had a Tyler Dunn shirt on, and it was a Tyler Dunn shirt, and he just said, "Let's go fishing." And it was some Canadian voice. I did a bad.
Where'd you guys find a hobo from Canada?
Probably the Sioux.
He was just a stone's throw away from Manitoba.
How about it?
That guy's everywhere in the country.
He is.
He shows up
Florida now.
Shows up fishing
We're
everywhere.
looking up some center pinning techniques up for Canada waters for trip doing, and that's what we stumbled upon. So we figured we'd put it on.
Put that. Yeah.
He's got a backpack full of whopper ploppers.
And stromboli sausage.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it worked really good for a long time, but we just recently changed it to be more, because now there's a lot of stuff. There's kind of like an opt-in, and we get a survey, and then once that survey's taken, then we know like what kind of stuff is best suited for that individual. So.
Yeah, so we really did change it. And, there was not a hobo, but there was an old video. We did take it off. Yeah, now we're really just focused on the tips. Well, I know I don't think it was you, Steve. You said you were following us a while back. You know, we used to have a ton of like viral videos, and although I don't regret doing it, it took up a lot of time, like putting a new viral video up every single day and blogging about it and sharing it. So we don't do that at all anymore. We let someone else have that traffic, because we realized it was a crap load of traffic. Like at one point we had 500,000 people a month on our site.
That was in our 5th month. We had 500,000
and we're like, oh, this is awesome. But like, they were not the kind of audience. You know, like you put a viral video up of a shark attacking a tarpon, and you know you get kids in Vietnam and stuff watching that just because it's kind of cool seeing a shark bite a tarpon. And we realized we had a lot of just bad traffic. So now we just only focus on real tips.
Yeah, we realized that we had to make a change when we had 500,000 people in 1 month, which was like way higher than we ever thought we'd have that soon. And we made like hardly any money. So, okay. So it didn't take a genius to figure that out. So, okay, we got to do something different. And again, that was just one of the many kind of turns and twists, if you will, that we've done over the years.
Joe and Luke, what are you guys' favorite fish to catch? Like, is it the same? Do you guys like to target something different?
I think we're both
on snooks.
Yeah, snooks it's awesome, man. Because I think it reminds us both of just bass fishing growing up, and it's a bass on steroids, you know, in the saltwater.
Yeah, snook. It has like the same lip as bass, so I can go out snook fishing and still get my my sandpaper thumb, and they just get bigger. I mean, they get up to like 50 pounds. I've never caught one here that big. But they get big. They jump. They eat the same type of lures.
They hit topwater.
Oh yeah, I love topwater. But the crazy thing is, I've started using bullfrogs over here in saltwater, and they crush them.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's so really like all the same lures work.
Well, didn't you win money in that one tournament?
Yeah.
With a bullfrog.
Yeah, I placed 2 fish in a tournament. That wasn't a snook. That was a redfish and a trout. But I've caught redfish, trout, tarpon. I've caught the bullfrog works really
using
good.
Using the Zoom bullfrog, right?
That's the secret.
You didn't tell me anything about these snook fishes when
Not
we were
anymore.
going to Florida. Not anymore. Stevie didn't tell me anything about these snook fishes. Now I want to fish for snook.
I just got to throw one thing in. I think that's interesting that you guys compared the snook to the bass, because I think the first time I ever heard about snook was from Roland Martin. I was like, what is he doing? He's not on Lake Okeechobee. What is he doing in the salt? And then he started catching a snook, and it was fun to watch.
It's odd to see all them bass guys go saltwater fishing. Yeah, when you see any of them guys from TV from back in the old days, and when they hit something new, like when I saw Hank Parker starting to hunt, I was like, what's he doing? He's got a hunting show. This isn't right. There's nothing right about watching Hank Parker hunt.
But those snook fish, I mean, these guys are on it. I mean, I want to catch a snook. I've just, from watching it, it's one of those like, that's pretty.
Thanks a lot, guys. You made me spend more money. Now I'm going snook fishing.
You guys, where you're going to be? I mean, if you're near Peacock Bass, you're near snook. So I mean,
there are plenty down in Miami. Really, anywhere from Central Florida and south, there's a pretty good amount of snook. Yeah. So there's a lot in Miami.
You said you used a frog to catch snook. Do you think if you use like a duckling or a bird-like lure, that would help as well? I mean,
I'm guessing so. I mean, I don't even know if they think it's a frog. I just think they just see something out. I mean, we have a lot of mullet up here, and they kind of have a similar silhouette, and they make a similar ripple on the surface. So I actually think they probably think it's a mullet or maybe even a crab. I don't know what they think it is, but all I know is they eat it. So maybe, like, again, it's you never know until you try it. So I'm all about definitely experiment with the different lures.
So you guys are primarily lure fishermen, correct? Not a whole lot of bait?
Yeah, I for that inshore stuff, I pretty much only use artificial.
That wasn't always the case, though. You asked us earlier, if we grew up fishing. I think I want to say it was I'm actually older than him, if you can believe it. I think I was 7, you were 5. We were pretty young, and all we wanted for Christmas was cast net. We got a little 4-foot cast nets, and so that's all we did forever was live bait. And I know once we actually graduated college and we didn't have 8 hours to kill in the water, like most people get a job, and we're like, okay, we have to be a little bit more effective with our time. And if you're not on the water a lot and you don't have a pulse on where the bait is, it could take you an hour, even 2 hours on a really bad day if it's really windy and crappy conditions. And he zeroed it in. I give him all the credit. I didn't believe him because I went away to Atlanta for a while, and he's like, "Man, I'm killing it on artificial lures." I was like, "That's absurd. Like, how are you doing that?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it was out of necessity. It was just after college, it's kind of in the real world. It's harder to get out like a full 8 hours to go fishing.
I just
right?
said that.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like,
yeah, it's really hard to get a full 8 hours.
Luke, did you have anybody to help teach you how to inshore fish with the lures, or was it just completely learning, guessing, and discovery?
It was just doing exactly what I did in bass and just taking it over to saltwater. It's really. Like I would use Zoom Super Flukes a lot. I mean, those are I used that all growing up for bass and snook, redfish, trout, tarpon. They all eat that same thing.
Wow. So if you could take just one artificial lure with you, what for snook, trout, or redfish, what would it be?
Probably, a soft plastic jerkbait, no doubt, and probably that either like a gulp or that Zoom Super Fluke, one of those kind of 5-inch little soft plastics. Everything eats them.
Yeah, we got invited to an invitational inshore fishing tournament last year, and it's 9th year, and these guys they're pretty competitive, and most of them grew up in the area. It's not even here in Tampa; it's a couple hours south. And so we get invited, and we were going to call ourselves Team Artificial, and we changed our name at the last minute. But they're 100% live bait, and it's 3 full days, snook, redfish, and trout. And we got 3rd place and, won a decent amount of money. And we were the only people using artificial. And I think we caught 1 fish on a pinfish, like we kind of had to. But everything else was artificial, and they didn't believe it. So there's no way. But we had obviously pictures and videos to prove it all.
Wow!
And it was all because this guy. I mean, he really did he zeroed in on it. It's mind boggling. But then again, the one day it was really bad conditions, and we had I think a redfish and a trout before they even caught bait that morning. I mean, that's the advantage, just covering more ground. Yeah. There's obviously pros and cons.
Uncle Buck here got baptized into the world of Kitex this week. Up at a lake that I live at, he got spoiled. He got spoiled by something big that took a 4-inch green Kitech on a 1/4-ounce jig head. It grabbed it, and he thought he was stuck on the bottom until it started running. It was gone.
I was on extremely light tackle.
Yeah,
that'll break your heart, buddy.
It's fun when you fish artificials and they get aggressive with it.
It's like being an Okeechobee on monofilament.
I grew up as a live bait fisherman. We had a running joke for a long time. Cat fishermen up here spend more time catching bait than most people do fishing. So, when we go out catch 300-400, bluegills before we go fishing for the weekend, it's really time consuming. So when you can get on fish that are aggressive, whether it be topwater or plastics, I don't see how it doesn't get any more fun than that for me, because they're aggressive fish when they're doing it.
Absolutely, and my theory on lures too is I've learned that less is more. Or as soon as I perfected that soft plastic jerkbait, even if the fish weren't feeding aggressively, I still kind of figured out just different changes in the retrieve that would actually get a fish that's really not willing to eat to actually trigger the strike. I get a reaction strike. So. Definitely less is more type thing.
My ears really perked up when you guys brought up the Super Flukes, because I've been catching walleye on Super Flukes out of our river for 15 years.
That's awesome.
But I put them on jig heads and bounce them off the bottom instead of swimming them.
Sometimes it is a retrieval. I've fished right beside Logan half my life, and you can use the same bait, stand next to the same guy fishing the same area, and he'll catch fish and you weren't, vice versa, depending on how you're working the bait. That's what they want that day.
I'm completely convinced of that catfish out of any kind of water, salt, fresh, hard, compared to soft water. It is the Indian and not the Arrow.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I think there's 3 things that people kind of confuse. One is hey, what color are you using, right? That's a common question. What color are you using, what lure? I don't really think that matters. It's all about silhouette and the action. Like if is it the right size and do you have the right action, and the color is like a distant third. So it's like if people are saying they're not catching anything, it's not the color. It's probably change your retrieve style. You're faster, slower, or even like those super flukes. I catch some of my biggest fish after we have a lot of pinfish and little small snapper that like tear off the tails, and I'll keep using them. Sometimes I'll purposely take off the tail and just use like the little 3-inch nub or whatever, and as long as it looks good in the water, if there's small bait around, that actually works better.
If it's not helicopter in those, that's the best bait out there, right? I mean, it's nuts. We actually hope the puffer fish bite off the tail sometimes.
Yeah, I purposely, again, if I'm fishing mangroves, when you take the tail off, they skip a lot better. So I'll purposely rip the tail off, and I'll keep like one of the bins with like tails off flukes, and those are my skipping baits. Yep. Or if the bait's real small.
They're so versatile, and I mean, just a little flick of the rod tip is all you might need. I've just learned that just by watching my wife's uncle. Again, like these guys said, same bait, same rods, same everything, except for the guy doing it, and how he would just bounce the tip of the rod, and it gives it some kind of action that was irresistible to the fish at the time.
That was the case last week when I stole your fishing spot and
my technique.
Your technique, and caught a nice bass.
But move over, I'm fishing here.
Uncle Buck's Guide Service.
So, you guys are pretty much all over social media, right? You have several different Facebook pages that you maintain. Correct.
Only one page, but yes, I think. Well, yeah, I guess we have two pages, but the group I think confuses people. So we have the Salt Strong Fishing Tribe, and that's a private Facebook group with it's getting close to 37,000 anglers in it now.
Wow!
And that thing exploded. Yeah, and this guy here, Knucklehead, he told me it was a horrible idea. He's like, "This is stupid." I was like, "Man, I'm telling you, it's going to work." And it was kind of frustrating in the beginning. You start a new group, just like a new podcast, and it's like slowly, barely moving. And then all of a sudden, we hit 1,000 people in that group, and it's just been skyrocketing since then. And went 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20, and now getting close to 37,000.
It's like a parabola too. The more it gets, the faster it grows. Yeah. It's and just like podcasts, just like website traffic. I mean, it's all the same. Just keep on at it.
And we turned it private just to slow it down and to get the riffraff out of there too. Because once you have a public one, anybody can join, and you get all kinds of people posting all kinds of. I mean, you can only imagine.
Yeah. And one thing that's unique about it is we are extremely strict. We now have 6 admins or something in there, but we don't allow cursing. It's like a family friendly group. So if somebody cusses, they're gone. There's no warnings or anything. It is very, very tightly kind of controlled, because that's the hardest thing. And once it gets over 10,000 people, is just keeping it clean and keeping all the ads and just the junk out.
Yeah, you'd have to watch it constantly. That would be. Is that why you guys made so many admins to keep an eye on it?
Yeah, it's up to 10 now, and you have a lot of the original 1,000. They really feel like it's theirs, and it is, because they have just as much to do with it as we do, and they take a lot of pride in it. So they report stuff really quickly, and that gets reported all 10 of us admins, and we can just go delete stuff real quick. So
that's good.
So it's been good.
That's awesome.
So what's it like? To put it in perspective, that's only a year and a half old, and it's at 36,000. Our Facebook page, where we've actually spent money promoting it and obviously boosted a ton of posts, that only has 75,000 people to a page that anyone can just go like. So I mean, it shows just the power of communities and groups. It's been really cool to see that thing grow.
Wow. So what's it like working with your brother? I have 3 brothers, and I don't know if I could. If I could do that, that's
could you do it?
All right, we're very different, as you can probably tell. So really, all the things he likes to do, I don't like doing it, and vice versa. So we stay out of each other's way most of the time. And every once in a while, we've got the brotherly conflicts, but so far, we're working together for 4 years now or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the pro is that I can and he can, vice versa, yell at each other and really speak the truth without any. We have a couple employees now, without them hearing. We'll actually go down into his little island where he lives, or out in the boat or something, and really kind of duke it out without punching each other. Whereas you couldn't really do that to an employee. You hold a lot back, trying to keep HR off your back and stuff like that. And so we can just really speak our mind. And I think it helps solve the problems quicker.
Nothing festers.
Yeah, no, we don't let anything fester at all. I mean,
that's probably the most dangerous thing for a company too.
Yeah.
So everything's all out and clear. We know exactly what we're thinking, and most of the time we're on the same page. If not, we'll eventually, figure out which way is best. But yeah, it's been good.
Awesome. Stevie's our HR department, and I'm always getting sent there.
It's I run a tight ship, so
I've even had to go to language reassignment school.
We're not messing around here, Phil.
Sorry, Steve.
I just don't show up when they tell me. I run to the lake.
Smart.
So, Joe, you've been working on a pretty big project here for a while. Just recently wrapped it up, right?
Oh yeah, the book.
Yeah.
Fishing, and I won't talk about it too much because it has little to do with fishing, but it tied in with what I mentioned earlier. That Luke and I weren't really fulfilled with our jobs, and quite honestly, like I had just been married recently. We had the beautiful baby girl. I was living in Houston, Texas at the time. Had a good job, and we actually had just paid off our debts. We're debt free. We paid off my wife's student loans for the first time ever. And yet I was waking up not really fulfilled, kind of not depressed, but just hey, there's got to be more than this. And that goes on for a day, and then you kind of have your ups and downs. I'll go out and drink a lot of beer or something to get a little bit of a quick high, and then all of a sudden I'm back to it. And I was like, man, something just doesn't feel right. And my wife was working like crazy. I was traveling all over the place. I had hardly any relationship with her. Honestly, it sucked. And so I was like, I gotta do something. And I didn't really know what to do. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go to a counselor, but I knew I had to do something. I just started reading a book, a self-help or personal development book. It sounds cheesy, but I was I actually enjoy reading. I was flying all over the place, so I just started reading, and I knocked out 300 books. It took about 5 years. And after all, I found out a lot about myself, quit my corporate job in America and doing this, which is pretty doggone fulfilling. And really just kind of documented the whole process, from one, the stuff I learned in the books, but two, how I got over, some alcohol addictions and anxiety attacks and, just a lot of crap that I had cancer. I had a lot of bad stuff happen in a really short amount of time. And that's really what the book is about. So I call it Fishing for Happiness. Because think about us as fishermen. What's the one thing that we want to do more than anything? It's catch, right? But they call it fishing for a reason, not catching. And the same is true in life. We spend most of our time fishing for happiness, buying crap we don't need and, just doing a lot of stuff that really doesn't fulfill us, trying to better our neighbors and all the stuff that we know we probably shouldn't do and are driven by money and greed and all the other bad stuff that probably don't have to mention. And I was like, man, just such a cool analogy that most of us, really just want to catch some fulfillment and more meaning in our life. And so it's just kind of a perfect title now that we have a fishing company. So it's been good. I'm not quitting my day job, but I felt like I had to publish it. It felt really good getting a lot of the stuff off my chest. And the reviews and some of the people that have read it are like, man, it was kind of game changing for them and making some big changes in their lives. So it was cool.
Epic, bro.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was an awesome book. He told me he was doing it, obviously, and I was one of the first to read it, and I was like, it was really, really good. And the reviews on it have been amazing as well, except for that one. Yeah, I got 1 2-star review on Amazon, and he says, I'm really disappointed in this book. It had nothing to do with fishing.
I saw that.
You must have read nothing about the subject. You only looked at the first one, the title. That was hilarious. I just came in the other day.
Not enough illustration.
Joe, they call me the blind shaman around here, and I quit the corporate world after watching both of my parents die of cancer within 2 years of each other. And I had to do something different. I was in the insurance world. I was a consultant in managed healthcare. And I actually took that experience and became a nurse and took probably a 2/3 pay cut now I'm sucked back into this corporate world and trying to again fish for happiness, and it can be repetitive at times. But I can't wait to get a hold of this. I wish I actually knew about your book before yesterday, so I could have been a little bit more prepared. You might get a new best friend offline here to discuss this, but it's right up my alley, and I can't wait to jump in on it. I call fishing therapy. And
it sure is.
Now you did it, Joe.
That's awesome, man. That's powerful stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you think.
Thanks for what you do. I mean, being an old fart that is trying to learn here and pick up new things in his life, and
you have learned a lot with us, haven't you? Fishing is therapy.
I've learned a ton from all you guys. I mean,
duck hunting's therapy.
Everything's outside is therapy. Just what Joe was saying.
Yep.
You know,
that's what we're designed for. We're not designed to be sitting inside all day and sitting down in front of a computer. So absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah, you guys are amazing for teaching it and passing it on too. We really appreciate that.
Totally.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, I think, as I mentioned earlier, we all grew up doing that, and we grew up hunting as well. I know we haven't even talked about that, but that was a big part of our life, and I feel bad for a lot of these kids and my own kids that are probably not going to have the same experiences, and it is tough. And I think the only thing that is probably cooler, because I've seen some of these video games, and they're pretty doggone cool and realistic. Like, I would probably have loved them when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
But I think the only thing that beats it is having, like, you know, you shooting a gun for the first time and watching a deer go down, or having a tug on the line and actually feeling something real. And that's the only thing that can kind of replace it.
Yeah.
And I think it's all of our duties as people who love the outdoors to get these, especially the kids out there.
Yeah.
And at least just once, right? And it's their choice after that if they're going to continue to do it. But I feel bad for some of these kids that are never going to have the chance to fish or hunt or even just spend enough time outdoors. So no wonder they're all on.
My
Yeah, I mean, the amount of kids that are on like antidepressants and stuff, I mean, it's the highest it's been ever, like by tenfold. It's not like by just like 20%. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
My grandfather used to tell me that if you watch TV, you're watching other people's lives instead of living your own. I don't really watch TV, and now I am a movie junkie. I don't generally. I'd like to watch new movies when they come out. Maybe take my wife to the movie theater, but as far as TV goes, it just really doesn't happen.
Not much good on it.
These guys will argue because the same movie plays in my garage over and over, but, Tombstone's amazing.
Tombstone is good. Tombstone is good. Good choice.
But anyhow, we don't have a whole lot of time left, and one of my favorite parts of every podcast is, obviously the epic campfire story. If we were sitting around a campfire with you, do either one of you guys have a fun epic campfire story, whether it be just a memorable fishing trip or, something that is that story you would tell somebody at a campfire?
You go for it. You got some awesome ones. Doing some dumb stuff.
Oh, okay. I got one. And this. You mentioned that how do we get along with each other? This was the one time where I literally wanted to kill him. Like literally want to kill him. We were in Costa Rica, and our uncle was he's a big surfer, and I think I was 14 or so. Yeah, he's shaking his head over here. and so he has some property. Somebody got property in in the southern peninsula of Costa Rica on the Pacific. It's
there's
really good
monster snook. That's where all the world record snook are caught in Costa Rica.
So we took all our fishing gear, and this was it was in the middle of nowhere. We were at least an hour drive from the closest little hut that had ice. It was crazy secluded. And so our mom packed us some little fun fruits, those little snacks, and
you guys remember the fun fruits, right?
Oh, absolutely.
and those were at the time we were into fun fruits, and so I look over and I'm pretty conservative, and Joe's out there if you haven't noticed yet, and so I look over there. We're in the airplane on the way there, and Joe's eating all his fun fruits, and I was just looking at him what an idiot.
6 packs of them.
Yeah, we had food out there. We had no idea if we'd actually have food, so I was conserving all mine. There's no way I'm eating mine till day 4, and so. So anyhow, I hid mine in the bottom of my bag. Didn't think much of it. And so day 4 came around. We weren't catching much. We were eating rice and beans every single day. Yeah. And I don't like rice and beans to begin with. And I really hated it by day 4. And so I go up to my bag. I'm going to do it. And so I open up those fun fruits. every single one of the wrappers are there, but all the fun fruits are gone.
Damn it, you Joe.
Not only did he eat them, but he was mean enough to put the wrappers back into it. I was so mad at him. I was so mad. So
That's epic.
Joe, was that so Luke wouldn't discover that you'd already eaten them, so he could still hear the sound of the packaging in the bottom?
I
was mad.
We're actually in a hut that you had to pull up the ladder every night because of the snakes. They call them cigarette snakes. They say you have about enough time to smoke a cigarette and you'll be dead. And we woke up to monkeys. Literally, remember the monkeys were in there like throwing poop at it. Like it was just. It really seriously woke up to monkeys every morning, and we had bat poop on us and monkey poop. Like it was. It was.
Yeah, bats
crazy.
were living in like literally like 10 feet above us. In the morning, the monkeys were fighting those macaw birds like for like the best trees. Like you wake up, just all sorts of just craziness happening all around. It was like an amazing trip.
So my plan was to play it off on the monkeys. It was right in the hut, so the monkeys came in and got it. But
the monkeys ate the fun fruits.
I think we got in a real fist fight, but it got pretty close.
I was mad.
Did you tell them they weren't monkeying around?
Back to that no bananas little story. It could have been like the superstition in itself. Who knows?
That is truly an epic campfire story. I've never heard of a brotherhood almost ending over fun fruits.
It was close.
We've switched up our fun fruits to gummy worms.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, we've upgraded or downgraded, whichever way they go. But yeah, we don't go many places without the gummy worms.
Well, guys, it's been wonderful, man. I'm so glad that Stevie found you guys and he shared you and your experiences with us, and we were able to get you on the podcast.
Yeah, I can't wait to start following you guys. Absolutely,
it's been fun.
Yeah,
no, ditto. Yeah, we sort of followed you ever since Stevie reached out. So keep up the awesome work, guys, and please do. I know you're going to be in the other side of Florida, but let's get a trip. That'd be a blast.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you're opening up a Pandora's box. There's 8 of us, so
you just got 8 best friends, you boys.
You got to follow us individually to really get the whole picture. There's a lot of footprints in this sandbox.
Yeah. So guys, how can people find you and learn more about Salt Strong?
Yeah, the best place is probably just our website, saltstrong.com. We have links to pretty much everything there. So saltstrong.com.
Yeah, and if somebody's into saltwater fishing, we do have that survey. Like put an email and a quick survey, and then we'll send the best fishing tips we have for whatever particular type of fish you like to catch most. So that's like the easiest way to get our most relevant content, because we now have it's been 2.5 years or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff on there. So that little survey is kind of the easiest way to find the best stuff.
Cool.
Very
awesome.
Cool.
All right. Saltstrong.com.
You guys ever find yourself wanting to learn more about salt fishing, just follow the gummy wrappers down to Florida and get a hold of these guys.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right, guys, where can they find us?
At www.ruttenriverpursuits.com.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music,
and
Castbox. Got it that time.
Get you some.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Rut and River Pursuits podcast. Follow the R2 Pro staff by searching Rut and River Pursuits on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until the next episode, we need to see you in the outdoors.